All right, AJ, 10-4 in non-conference. Some impressive wins: George Washington, North Carolina State, Oklahoma, and some competitive games as well. Scoring's been an issue at times. There have been some stretches where scoring the basketball has been a problem for you at times.
Yeah, and a lot goes into offense. It's a matter of simply, are you making open shots or not? Are you running the right things for the right people, situations? Are we playing hard enough and executing those things well enough? To be honest, some of the games we played, a lot of what we struggled with just making and finishing shots. I think the execution's been pretty good. The team has played really hard and really committed to trying to get certain offensive things done, and we just have had some cold shooting, I guess. And I think some of that goes to the defenses we've seen. Mm-hmm. We've been playing just a heck of a schedule. But lately, we've actually, in the last couple games, really started to shoot it well. Had a good offensive game at Drake, played really well against Wichita State, played really well offensively against Florida Gulf Coast. So the worms kind of turned a little bit there for us, but we got to make sure our defense doesn't take a step back. You can't solve one problem and create another. In our last couple games defensively, we probably haven't been where we need to. So I really think our best basketball is in front of us as we start to put both sides together. But all in all, I feel good about the direction we're in.
Let's start with the two biggest question marks coming into the season. The first, of course, was the health of Macy Miller, and obviously we're seeing from the numbers and the minutes that she's playing that she doesn't seem to have missed anything. Do you notice anything different about Macy's game and her comeback?
Well, I think she's finally getting into great shape. Not just cardio, but I'm talking more just strength and explosiveness. And, her surgery was December, I think, 22nd or something last year. So we finally just crossed the 1 year mark. And for somebody who is a lot stronger, more explosive than people realize, she's super skilled. And the skill part of it, I think, just picked up right where she left off. But the explosiveness has finally started to come back, and that's a big part of her game. So you're seeing her take more of her pull-up jumpers, get to the basket more, just do more of the things that really make her a special player, and I think she's getting back to that now.
The other thing, sometimes with some kids, when they sit out a year, their perspective changes a little bit after they've had a chance to watch for a year. Have you noticed anything different from that regard?
No, I think so. I think she's hungry, and she always was. She's been one of our best workers always, get to be that talented without being that kind of worker, competitor. But when that thing gets taken from you that you love so much, it's just creates a new sense of urgency and determination to get it back. And I do think she's got that. She's got a good spark in her right now. I think she wants to help her team be successful, and she's really actually playing at a very high level this year.
And the other big question was filling in the shoes of Clarissa Ober, both from the offensive standpoint down low, the defensive standpoint down low, and also rebounding. And how do you think you're doing there?
I think, for the most part, pretty well. It's been a little more collective. Clarissa was somebody that could just kind of take over that center and position and do a great job individually. And then now this year, I think we're doing it more collectively. Tegan and Ellie have been really good down there, a little bit undersized, but they've been doing very well. I really like kind of how Maya has filled in, not at a center spot, but played maybe more of a forward spot for us at times. She's one of our best rebounders offensively, defensively. She's scoring inside and out. We get China back here from her early season injuries. Hopefully she'll add a little bit more depth in that position. So I would just say collectively they've done very well at filling kind of that open spot down there.
Numbers can be deceiving, and you've been on the short end on the rebounding numbers quite a bit. Does that cause for concern?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think we had two really big rebounding games. New Jersey Institute of Tech, the first game, and then Bowling Green. I think combined we out-rebounded those teams by like 40 or 50. I can't remember the exact number. If you pulled those two games out and took those margins out of it, we'd probably have a negative rebound margin. And that'd be one of the first in many, many years. And I just think it's not enough of a priority. I think we have the people that can do it. We're probably collectively taller and more athletic than we have been. But that has to be a focal point going forward. And our players have heard it, but now we actually got to put it into action on the court.
You mentioned Maya Selland. What is she bringing to the game already as a freshman?
Well, a lot of confidence, a lot of poise. You see her growing a ton with each game and taking more of a role at making plays. I think sometimes freshmen have a tendency just to play off of their teammates and try not to do too much. But Maya's finally getting to the point now where she has that confidence about her to try and make plays and not just, settle as a freshman. So we've really relied on her in some games. I wouldn't say she wins games for us, but she's been a huge part of some of our recent games where we've really played well. Against Florida Gulf Coast, she was excellent. Against Drake on the road, she was excellent. She just had a bunch of big games in some pretty tough environments. So special player, and she's off to a special first year.
Which of the other new faces do you think have made the biggest impact so far?
I think Kylie Irwin, as a freshman, has done well. She had a hamstring injury after she had really played well. Now she's kind of getting herself back to healthy again, and I think we'll see her really pick up and take off here in the new year. Riley Jensen has given us good minutes at the backup point guard position. Now she's playing some off guard for us as well. And I still categorize Tegan, even though she was here last year, as a new player. She was right there and almost ready to jump into a much bigger role. Offensively, she's found a good rhythm. She's making threes from the perimeter. She can post up. And she's really, really kicked it into gear with her defense and rebounding. It's been a big part of our plan that way. So I'm really excited about how she's found her niche.
With Macy back, how does that change Maddie Giebert's game?
Well, I just think back is one, and then two, now we've moved Macy back to the point guard spot here in the last couple of weeks. And if you look at Maddie's game, her numbers have been dramatically different here since we've moved Macy back to the point. And I think that just means that Macy just requires a lot of attention. And so whether it be in transition or half court, the more we got the ball in Macy's hands, people are more aware of her, and she finds Maddie. She knows where she's at, and I think that's created a little bit more space for Maddie. So, I think that's been good for both of them, actually.
The numbers you've got to like are the limiting turnovers and also distributing the ball very well so far.
Our ball movement this year has been really good. We're averaging more assists this year than we have. Our field goal percentage is a little bit down, but we're actually scoring, more points than we have in the past. So as we start to make more shots, that's going to be a good improvement for us. But all in all, we're really moving the ball. We've got two players that score a lot, but you don't necessarily watch us and feel like they just dominate. When Maddie and Macy score, they usually are really efficient. They're not taking 25 shots to score 20 points. So we're really moving the ball, sharing it. I think the team has got a good mindset there.
You mentioned China's injury. Where are you in terms of health heading into the conference?
Really good. Probably better than we have been all year, to be honest. We've had a bunch of injuries and things that have come up throughout the year. Not major, but things that have kept people out of practice or out of games. And actually we are at a point where we've got pretty much everybody practicing now, and that has not happened since day one. So I think that's a good thing. It also creates a little bit more competition, which is a good thing. People have to be earning what they get rather than, we're a little thin at this spot, so we need you to step up. And I think that competition part is good going into the conference season, too.
You start out at home with a couple. You start out with Omaha on Wednesday. This is a program that really made a statement last year and really elevated their game. Now they're doing it without Michaela Shaw now, but they've got a very, very balanced approach with 5 players in double figures.
Yeah, they're tough. They just run so many good sets, spread you out. They've got a good balance of three-point shooters. Brecht, good Sioux Falls name there, is really doing well for them and moved into a bigger role. They just are really tough to guard because they run so much just action for people and a lot of slips, a lot of counters, a lot of things that catch you off balance. And if you look at how we've done against league opponents, we've always had a bunch of close games with Omaha over the years. They got us at their place last year. We got them here close, but they're always usually close games, and it's because they're really well prepared and their style causes us some problems.
And they're going to present you some challenges on the boards.
Yeah, they're physical. They always are. They run some matchup zones. They always have rebounders around the rim. They keep people in good position. They don't give you a lot of second chances. They never have. They don't turn it over a lot. So it's a team that we always say you have to beat them. They don't make it easy. They really make things difficult, and you're going to have to earn the possessions. And
then North Dakota State on Saturday, and this is a team that kind of still is struggling for their identity. One thing that's interesting, you and I have talked a lot, AJ, in the past about how Taylor Thunstead really was the focus of that offense, and maybe too much, and now her numbers are down, and other players seem to be stepping up. Do you think that's been a conscious effort on their part?
It seems like it. They're running some different things offensively this year. I'd say really a whole new plan. A little bit different defensively as well. I'd say a lot more aggressive. They have a lot of new faces, a little more athletic probably in some positions than they have been. They've got a really good kind of new nucleus there, and as they get better and more confident, I think they're at a point where they could take some steps forward. Just a whole different team, I think, and different identity, as you kind of said when I watch them right now. And they're going to, I would think, continue to improve as the league goes on, and they just get more comfortable with each other.
Last year, as we mentioned, was an interesting year in the Summit League. We certainly saw it at the tournament now, where it's not just South Dakota State, and everybody else kind of plays second fiddle. I mean, there are a lot of teams that elevated their game last year, and everybody just seems to be getting better.
Yeah, it's not hindsight or negative, but if you brought IUPUI back one more year through in this league would be, there. Right now, I think we're 10th or 11th in the national RPI rankings out of 31. We've had a lot of teams in our league do well against really good competition here in the non-conference. Western Illinois is obviously going to be really good. So many players back, and they've already had some big wins. Win at Stanford is a pretty impressive thing to do, and rarely happens. USD is always good, and then will be again this winter. But Oral Roberts, Omaha, you've got some teams there that probably fly a little bit under the radar, but when you really watch them, they're awfully good, and they're going to cause problems for a lot of teams, including us in our league, and then some schools that are maybe trying to figure it out a little bit, but still have more talent than even they would have had, say, the last several years. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun race. Short race, only 14 games, I think, here. So we'll have to make each one count.
I was going to say, what does that do now? I mean, all of a sudden you go in, and you had a little bit of lead time in IUPUI, but not a ton, and so the scheduling's kind of wonky a little bit, and, of course, you don't have the margin for error is certainly a lot less.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it really is. It's not that you want your team to feel like they've got to play perfect, because that's never a good mentality, but at the same time, you can't have many clunkers because there's just not enough games to make it up, and everybody, I think, will feel that. Plus, you have a couple of weeks where our schedule worked out good. We had teams playing this past weekend. We were off from Summit League play, but you'll have a couple of teams that'll have a week, 10, 12, 14 days between games in our league this winter, and that'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out for people if they if they filled it with a NAI team or another Division I game, which some of us had to do, or if they're just going to take it off, and that'll change things a little bit too, I think.